So you guys actually got a good episode, or at least a passable episode. Now, people have been coming to me asking, "Where's your review of episode 4? It's so good. You have to see this episode." So I watched the episode around an hour after debut. I slept on it, and I allowed you guys to sleep on it. And I've come to the conclusion, you guys are really gonna like this one, that this is the best episode so far. Now, am I saying I'm a fan of this? No. This episode is like a solid 5 out of 10, and you guys are eating it up. It's not hard to improve upon a show that has had consistent failure after consistent failure. The last 3 episodes have been 2s, 3s, 4s out of 10s, you guys. So this one being like a 5 or a 6 out of 10, barely passable, watchable, might I add. Not too much of an improvement, but let's get into the video. So as previously mentioned, this episode for me was like an overall 5 out of 10. It is action packed, and it has an actual progression of the plot. Stakes are developed, and there's somewhat tension involved in this episode. So this episode should have been like episode 2. And I'm gonna do another video like how I would have done this, and then another video after that. Like we're at the halfway point, so what are my like halfway impressions, and then what I want to come from what we got. But you're not here for my thoughts and opinions on the future. You're here for what happened during this episode. So this episode, like I just said, was action packed. So if you are one of those people that thought the past 3 episodes were extremely boring, which they were, you have this episode. All of the lightsaber duels and shootouts, space battles are all sloppily crammed into this episode. It's like they had to meet like some kind of quota, and as they were writing the past 3 episodes, they were like, "Oh, we forgot about space battles. Let's throw space battles in there. We forgot about lightsaber duels. Let's throw lightsaber duels in there. People are wondering who this Marat guy is. Let's just get rid of him." But I'm getting ahead of myself. The episode actually opens with the best 2 characters, Shin and Baylan, talking, establishing their plan. Ahsoka tells whatever her name is, Sabine. These characters are so annoying. Like, I've watched Clone Wars and Rebels, and I never liked Sabine. She was always an annoying character to me. But the episode opens, like I said, they landed on the planet. So it opens with them on the planet, and some nonsense happens. Hera, you're not here to hear about the boring stuff. So like the first 10 minutes are like kind of boring, but you're like, okay, they're actually leading up to something. So the pacing in this episode is the best the pacing has been. And it's as in a vacuum, this episode is actually not bad. There's some major problems I have with it. That's why it has the 5 out of 10 score. But like the action alone carries it, is what I'm trying to say. It's gotten a little rambly, but we got there, right? And it actually starts with like a 2v2. So you have Ahsoka and Sabine versus Marak, which is the Inquisitor type character, and Sheen, of course, is the apprentice to Baylan, so the white-haired chick that defeated Sabine like just 2 episodes ago. And unfortunately, Marak is killed off almost instantly. So to me, that's like minus a point off the overall score. And this might sound surprising, but I go into every episode with like 10 out of 10 in mind, and then just take away points as I go. So Marak is actually like literally a nameless, faceless nobody. He kind of reminds me of like Darth Nihilus, how Darth Nihilus is just like held together by the Force, like there's nobody in the suit. That's what this is. So he gets struck down, and like black mist just comes out of his body and he disappears. Now, there's been some fanboys saying Well, that's because that wasn't the real him. It's like, you guys really think that they have like another big twist, big reveal in store for Marak, or do you think he was just a nameless, faceless character, and then they were baiting us with him being Ezra, or him being Starkiller, or him being somebody we knew before? Unfortunately, I'm going for the first of those two options. He's a nameless, faceless guy that really has nothing to do with the main story, and it's just there so they could potentially sell us like a new Inquisitor's lightsaber. They tried to get the Rebel one off the ground. That was a complete failure. So now they're saying, hey, our deal with Hasbro is about to expire. We have to milk these idiots for even more money. So even though Marak is a nameless, faceless character, his lightsaber's kind of cool. So you guys want that, right? He's not as hated as Reva. Isn't that crazy that a blank slate character is not as hated as a character that has, though poor, some character development? Just shows how garbage that Obi-Wan show was. But for some reason, Sabine sends Ahsoka off to confront Baylan as she 1v1s Shin. Like, she's just so confident she could beat her, even though she was defeated before. Easily by Sabine. Easily by Baylan. And it's kind of crazy because they're like trained. Shin is like a trained apprentice by a fallen Jedi, and she's struggling to defeat Sabine. Now, there's a lot of main character syndrome in this. And what I mean by that is the main characters either they do certain things that only occur to progress the plot and aren't realistic. And it goes both ways, because with Ahsoka herself, something occurs later. We're gonna touch on that when it happens. That is also in that main character syndrome realm where she acts out of character to progress the plot. So the duel is happening between Sabine and Shin, and it's kind of like, how is Shin even struggling at all against this person, right? She had like 1 day worth of training, and we're supposed to believe that they're equals now. And Sabine tries to use the Force on Shin, and thank goodness it didn't work, because I really thought they were gonna do the garbage anybody could use the Force cliche thing here. Sabine shoots her with like a little wrist missile thing in the face, which is totally stupid. Like, we've seen these people deflect laser blast, but apparently a missile, which is slower moving than a laser, apparently catches Shin off guard. And then it, of course, for some reason, Shin is like scared of Sabine now. So she's like, oh no, this woman has like slow moving lasers in her wrist, even though just minutes before we saw her deflect like easily lasers from her blaster. I gotta have to get out of here. She throws down like a smoke bomb like she's Batman and just disappears. Now, as I was watching this, I'm like, oh, she's gonna reappear, right? And this is gonna be like Sabine having to tap into the Force and predict Shin's movements. That actually doesn't happen. She legitimately retreats against a non-Force user who she has on the ropes. Very strange. But anyway, the duel that we're really here for is Ahsoka versus Baylan. Now, Baylan does the cliche thing where he like tries to turn Ahsoka to the dark side, and then they're dueling. And I'm just thinking, as they're dueling, why is Ahsoka having any trouble with this like no-name fallen Jedi when she's beaten Sith Lords, fought assassins, right? We've never seen her struggle before. And out of nowhere, she's just like, let me grab the map. And I guess this is like their way of like nerfing Ahsoka or something. But she's already kind of losing the fight. Like, to me, it's like she took out that Inquisitor easily, but Inquisitors have always been fodder. Like, they just exist to get killed easily by the main character. So I expected her to beat the Inquisitor easily. But this guy is like somehow overwhelming her, even though she's like beaten Well, okay, let's not say she's beaten Maul twice, but she's like at least held her own against Maul, which I would put like multiple tiers above this guy. She's went to toe to toe with Darth Vader, even though it was a sneak attack. She literally like sliced Darth Vader's mask, right, and almost defeated him. And this random guy is just like has her on the ropes. And Sabine shows up, and as he's about to kill Ahsoka, because he beats Ahsoka, by the way. I don't know what they're doing with this. The OP character from Clone Wars somehow gets defeated here. And Sabine's like, I'll destroy the map. And then he just like, okay, do it then. And he like strikes Ahsoka down, but you know, like he doesn't like cut her body up or anything like that. But he hits her saber. It looks like she blocks it. Maybe she doesn't. And she falls over the edge. So now it's just Sabine and Baylan. And it's like, okay, we're going to get some like actual tense moments here, right? Does she destroy the map? What's her choice here? And then she's like, I want to see Ezra again. So she just hands over the map to him. So your master was just killed in front of you. And you're like, well, fuck it. I'll just turn to the dark side, right? She gives him the map. And then it looks like Shin is about to kill Sabine off because she starts to force choke her from behind. I'm like, yes, kill off main characters because they are just getting bailed out after situation, right? Ahsoka, we know she's not dead because the show's named after her, but I think it would be an amazing idea if they actually killed her off. So I was like, okay, kill Sabine off, and then it'll be like Ahsoka's trying to get revenge for her girlfriend or whatever. But no, Baylan's like, I gave her my word. So it's like, it's kind of implying that he's not like an actual dark side user. He's just like some kind of fallen Jedi. Because and some people have even made the theory that's why his lightsaber is orangish and not like full blood red. So they spare Sabine because apparently she's a main character. And they actually they don't actually do anything, right? Do they go to the outer realm? Yes, this is all from memory. They go to like the outer realm, and then it cuts back to Ahsoka. She's like in, what's it called, the world between worlds. And this is the part that really pissed me off, because it's like, okay, this is her show, great, we knew she was Anakin's apprentice, and the guy shows up. Hayden Christensen is in this episode. You probably saw by the thumbnail, because it's, you know, why not milk Darth Vader / Anakin Skywalker for views, because Disney decides to milk him for views, right? He shows up, the crappy CGI, the Clone Wars era haircut, it's all there. So it has me thinking, is Ahsoka dead? Because how is she seeing this guy? Or I think the world in between worlds, isn't that like a time travel thing? Like she could pull him technically from his time to the modern day. I don't know. But there's a lot of stuff that drags this episode down. And there's a lot of things that are decent about this episode if you take it as it is. So that's why I gave it a 5 out of 5. Because the fanboys have always been telling me, you have to watch Clone Wars. You have to watch Rebels to like this. So it's like, well, if we take all that into account, then Ahsoka should definitely not be losing to a random no-name Dark Jedi. And please, fanboys, do not say she lost on purpose because the Force guided her to lose on purpose. Don't make any excuses for this. It is not good. I would say it's decent. It's like passable. But expect a massive decline. Expect a flashback filler episode for the next 2 episodes. And then Ahsoka's going to, this is a preview for like what's to come from the series. She's going to come back. Shin is probably going to turn good at the end and either kill Baylan for the greater good or whatever. Well, but 5 out of 10, everything sucks signing out.